Bonjour, bienvenue sur le plateau d'Informatic News pour un rendez-vous un peu particulier en partenariat avec IT Press Tour qui organise sa 45e édition à Paris. Et donc dans ce cadre, nous avons le plaisir de recevoir Boyan Ivanov qui est CEO et fondateur de la société StorPool. Boyan Ivanov, good morning.
Morning.
Welcome to our Informatic News. Let's start to present your company to our audience. You were founded in 2011, basically in the storage business. And your value proposition, when you explain it, and you're going to do it in detail, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's the idea is, and I mean, it's even in the name StorPool. It's you take all the direct attached storage system, and then you put them all together, and you're offering that as a unique solution for the customers.
Correct.
You develop the software for that. You recently announced the 20th version of your software. So basically, that's what I can tell about your company, but could you tell a little bit more about it?
Sure. StorPool is a storage software company. We founded it in the very end of 2011. The legal entity, actually, we assembled in 2012, in the beginning of it. And the idea was that for the past 40 years, about 40 years, storage has been done with specialized appliances, storage arrays. And in today's world, that approach doesn't have the performance, scalability, and it's too complex for the environments and the business needs of today. And back then we said, okay, the future of storage should be software, intelligent storage software running on standard servers, in many cases alongside applications, and making these servers behave like $1 million storage array without people spending $1 million or euros on a storage array. It's going to be faster, cheaper, more scalable, easier to manage. And that was the idea of the company. As the name says, we take a number of standard devices, hard disks or SSDs, that are fitted in standard servers, and we make these devices appear as one big storage pool that has a lot of performance and very reliable, very scalable, and we present it to users of storage technology, which usually are large service providers, IT companies, software as a service companies, cloud and hosting companies, managed service providers, like companies that consume a lot of IT or build a lot of IT infrastructure and service other businesses.
And I think also you are claiming that you are offering the fastest storage solution, block storage solution in the market.
Correct.
Do you have any figures to sustain that affirmation?
Sure. One of the most important things that people don't really know is that the speed of a storage system is measured best in latency. So you tell the system to store something or to read something, write or read, and how fast the system responds, not the peak, what's called IOPS or input-output operations per second, but actually how fast the system responds, and that's latency. And StorPool is a shared storage system, so it can tolerate failure of different devices, SSDs, network cards, entire servers, entire racks of equipment if you have the size, and can give you 100 microseconds of latency. That's typical for the system, which is about 10 times faster than most of the solutions that are still deployed in the world, most of the storage solutions. So it's extremely fast in terms of latency. In terms of IOPS numbers, we can do more than 1 million IOPS per storage node, per storage server. So if you have 10 storage servers that can do 10 million of IOPS. Not that many people actually use this performance in terms of IOPS, but every user, every application, every database requires on low latency. So the faster they can get the data read and write, that's more fundamental. And we're one of the leading vendors in terms of extremely fast storage system, but also extremely capable storage system, meaning the feature set, the reliability, the scalability, which is unique also on the market.
Are you targeting existing customers to refurbish their own storage systems, or are you targeting new customers that are going to build new storage system?
That's a very good question, and we target both. An interesting fact is that the buyer and user of IT especially IT infrastructure and enterprise type of solutions, is changing. 15 years ago, that was the typical enterprise customer. Now it's becoming more of a service provider that is servicing end customers, like enterprises or end users. That could be a managed service provider company, cloud and hosting company, infrastructure as a service company. And these companies, in some cases, start with a greenfield project. That's a new design that they want to build this new service that's going to provide cloud services to other enterprises. And they start from scratch. And then in this case, we deploy StorPool with the whole architecture. So we help our customers to design the compute layer, the networking layer, and the storage layer in Unity, so they can have reliable and very fast services. In some cases, we also have customers that have been running for 20, 30 years or more, and they have a lot of other storage technologies from different generations. Mm-hmm. And they say, I want this year to upgrade or replace that specific storage environment that's end of life. So we see both things on the market.
So when you say upgrade, I mean, you can use the software to apply that on an existing storage solution and you know, transform like different generation of storage in one more modern storage system. You have to replace some of them to apply the software.
So there were two approaches. Like when we were starting, there were basically two approaches. One approach is what's called software storage virtualization. So we have different arrays or storage appliances from different vendors, or from the same vendor but different generations or series. And then you have software overlay that manages all of them and makes them easier to consume and provision and manage. That's one approach, which is, in our view, not as good approach as the other approach, which is to have standard servers managed by intelligent storage software, which is called software-defined storage, because software is the magic that makes this hardware viable and behaving like a storage system. And we're doing that second thing. Why? Because it's cheaper. You're using standard servers. They're way less expensive. You can, in many cases, use them for running applications on the same servers, so reducing the investment in hardware. They're more reliable because they have many interfaces. Every server has two network interfaces, where in the old approach you had one big box with only two connectors or two interfaces for network, and you can add more capacity in the box, but then you're limited in the two controllers of the system. So we are taking standard servers, so every project, be it a greenfield new project or replacing, upgrading legacy infrastructure, is always buying new standard servers that are inexpensive. Mm-hmm. And running our software and migrating the data from the old boxes. In this way, not only the system is future-proof and more reliable, faster, but also more compatible. Otherwise, you depend on several different arrays, and many things can go wrong. So that's, we basically phase out the old hardware that has inconsistent performance.
But so you are selling software, that's
correct.
Very simple. Mm-hmm. But also, I suppose you have to sell some professional services to analyze what the situation is and what's the best way to go to the next step of what the customer wants. Mm-hmm. Do you do that yourself, or do you have partners that do that?
So because we've built hundreds and hundreds of clouds, we helped our customers to design the entire solution, not thinking about storage as a separate subsystem and then network and then compute power. But we think, what is the application that's running on top? What does the application need? Because nobody needs storage, right? They need application that does a database, online banking system, mm-hmm. Application that stores cat photos. So they need that. And we help them to engineer that entire stack. And that's included in our services. Like, we sell the best block storage software in terms of capability, but we also partner with our customers and help them to design a new solution. So we would go and advise them and tell them, okay, if you want to use our solution, what does your environment look like today? What is the performance that you need today? And let us design a new solution that is best suited for your specific application, so you don't spend way more money than you have to. And in this case, we address that part as the kind of consultancy services as part of the standard offering.
Your company. It's
yes,
part of what you're doing.
We help our customers do that. And then we rely on hardware partners because our customers in many cases have long-lasting relationship with Dell or HP or Supermicro, some hardware vendor. And we typically accommodate to the relationship that already exists.
But do you have some partners, services companies helping you to doing that analyzing of the situation?
We have a few, not that many.
Yeah. Okay. What kind of company are you targeting? Are they the large enterprise? Are they the cloud provider? Are they even medium and small size company? What is your best goal? So
typically, our solution is developed for large scale IT. This means in terms of block storage, because block storage is more specific, it's not like very, very huge like object storage, for example.
Yeah, because we're just talking about block storage. We're not talking about neither file or neither object.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. We mostly specialize in block. So these are typically environments that have hundreds of terabytes or petabytes or multi-petabytes of block storage. Big companies. These tend to be these days some form of service provider company. Cloud service provider, hosting, managed service provider, infrastructure as a service. Sometimes the IT teams of larger, let's say, banks or telecoms that have a lot of IT, and they're kind of like they have a team inside IT team that's actually a service provider for that company. Like, for example, if you take one of the biggest SaaS companies or websites, they basically have 10,000 employees, thousands of which are internal IT that makes the whole business possible. So we would be targeting the 1,000 people that are, or the 10 people that relate to storage in the 1,000 people IT organization of that company. So it's always has this service provider angle for large scale environments.
Okay. In my introduction, I don't think I said you are a company from Bulgaria, so I suppose you develop your business there. But do you have some other customers in some European countries, and especially in France, if you have names? And do you have any plans to go in the US?
Yes. So we built a company with the idea to be a global leader in what we do. We started the company in Bulgaria. Myself and one of my founders were mostly based on the plane, so international, going all over the world. Most of our customers, like about 50% of the customers that we have are in Europe, about 30% are in North America, and about 20% are in Asia Pacific. So we have customers in more than 30 countries now. In Bulgaria, we basically have very, very limited base. In France, we have several customers. One is the French company Atos, but we're doing business for their...
As a customer or as a reseller or as both?
They're a bit of both, because they're buying the StorPool technology, using it to build, in their case, an Oracle cloud that services the biggest enterprises in the Netherlands, in this case, like bank, telecoms.
So they resell that solution to end user?
In a way, yes.
But they even didn't know that they are using your solution, I suppose.
Correct. Which is, as we joke, if a customer is getting value out of StorPool, they would never know it exists. Their customers would be happy, the system will be up and running. They would not get complaint from customers or downtime. It's just there and does its magic. So that's the best case, and this is the thing that we've done. Otherwise, we have several other customers in France, which are smaller telcos and service provider customers. Also, other big regions in Europe for us are Germany, the Netherlands, UK, Switzerland are, I think, big. But as I said, we have about 50% of the revenue of the company from Europe.
But you don't have offices in these different countries. You're doing the business from Bulgaria, I suppose.
Correct.
And
correct.
To expand the company, do you plan to have offices in some countries?
In some countries, yes.
So France would be one of them?
Likely, at some point. I think the first one on the list would be the US, although we're delivering software. With software, you don't need to have local facilities. You don't need to have engineers typically on the ground, because it's all remotely installed, remotely supported. So this gives us coverage, for example, in Australia, in Hawaii, and we don't have to send people there or have an office. However, to grow the business, we're planning to open offices in a number of countries.
Isn't that too difficult to develop a business from basically Sofia and being present all around the world?
It has some challenges, it has some advantages. As anything in life, there is a trade-off. What we see there are several general, we call them master trends that are happening on the IT market and the global economy that we saw 10 years ago, and we said, okay, in our view, this is the future, and we want to be a company that's building for the future. One of the things is that the buyer of IT is changing. So before it was Fortune 500 companies or Global 2000 companies. Now these companies are consuming services from the public cloud or company like Atos. And these companies, they want to work with the best solution that gets the job done. So they're going and they're looking at which are the solutions. So they focus on, is your technology a good fit for their case? If it is, if it's New Zealand, they buy from New Zealand. If it's from Bulgaria, they buy from Bulgaria. If it's US, they don't rely that much on the local supply chain. So I think that's helping us a lot because business is going in that direction.
Okay, and maybe a last question for you. For a company like StorPool, do you think the cloud, which is a trend for the last 10 years, and it's going to be for the next 10 probably, do you think it's an opportunity for you, or it's a new difficulty to sell your solutions?
Oh, it's both. It's both. It's the funny part. It's both. So there is a lot of misconception. A lot of people think that public cloud is going to be the only place where people run workloads, which is not the case. If you look at the statistics today, more than 50% of the dollars that are spent on IT infrastructure are still spent on private cloud deployments. Mm-hmm. If you look at the growth rates, public cloud was growing at 16% annualized growth rate. On-premise private clouds are growing at 9%. Mm-hmm. So public cloud is growing faster, but both are growing at the expense of legacy IT. That was not API driven, not automated, like the old way of, I need a storage system, I open a ticket, somebody puts a name in Excel and says, this is your storage system, right, or storage volume. And this is the market that's declining, the other ones are increasing. So basically, in our private cloud environment, StorPool has a good future. We're also just announced, actually something that we're officially announced tomorrow is the StorPool on AWS, which is now in technology preview, so we can run in the public cloud, on premises, in a hybrid cloud environment. So there is like public cloud is an advantage and disadvantage, like.
So, well,
helps our business and also might hurt some of our customers if it's taking business out of them. But to us, we're very fluid, and actually whatever the customer needs, performance, reliability, and scalability in the storage layer, we can provide it in any environment.
Okay, well, I think we had a pretty complete presentation of your company. Anyway, Boyan, Ivanov, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.